This is the next cylinder on the list for the Genie. This is a oscillating cylinder, which on the Genie helps control its level. You know, if you're in an off-camber situation, the oscillators kind of help control keeping the machine level, and it goes right there, as you can see. Compared to the other side, there's the other side. That one's fine, and I'm not going to do it right now, given the debacle I had with the steering rams. I'm not so inclined to do something I don't need to do. So, but that's the one that goes there, and it was leaking like a sieve. This is actually then going to be the next one, the master, and then I have the rotator to do yet as well. That guy, he's leaking. Again, I think I got an awesome deal on this thing, man. Looking at what functional ones are going for on auction as compared to what I put into that, and what I'll be putting into these cylinders, I'm like way ahead. I did have to do the head gasket. That was my labor. It was like $400 in parts. So I don't feel too bad given what I paid for the thing. And I see things probably in worse condition than mine going for twice as much as what I paid for mine. So this is the next one. One of those steering rams, even the shop couldn't get it apart because they kind of like welded together. I guess, see the aluminum, and even the shop could not get this off of the body. So I wound up buying, I found a new old stock ram for basically $250 delivered, which was awesome because they're like $400 new OEM. So I got new old stock. It's black, but it works a lot less than buying a brand new one, and it's functional. But this one, I'm not giving up hope. I may try something on this, but for right now, I got both of those. One rebuilt, a new one installed, and now I'm going to start on this oscillating. And I hope it doesn't give me fits like that one did. So let me put you down for a bit here and do some cleanup and see what I got to do here. I got this one. That's right on. Got that broke. Had to drill out this tang to get this clevis bolt through there. This is kind of hokey. I'm going to rethink this, but at least it gave me a little bit of a structure to work off of. And so sure enough, I got, if that one would keep that from jacking around, I got, as you can see, this guy loosened up. So now I already have the kit for this. I'll be able to rebuild it. So you can see it's coming off. So I'll catch you up here in a bit. I had a bunch of drilling and crap to do on that. I had to drill these out to get a bigger piece of pipe so I could go through there. This is something I had around for like a log picker. This is a large bolt for clevis, and that was just a receiver for flat receiver for a ball. I sacrificed it, but I got plenty of those around. Right on. This makes me super happy. All right, I'll catch you up in a bit here when I get this thing laid out so I can start doing a rebuild on it. Never done that, but first time for everything. There it is. That's the oscillating this ram, and pucker seal assembly. The cylinder is right there. Cylinder didn't seem to be too bad. That the ram had some rust looking stuff in it. We'll see how this works out. I think for right now though, I'm going to check out. I worked a bunch yesterday outside. I'm gonna chill today. That was the that's the pipe wrench that I used to knock it. Some step bits. It came in clutch because I thought I had a big, I don't know if somebody piped it, but I couldn't find it, so I had to use these step bits that I had around, and it worked fine except the metal I was cutting through is the tang on one of those receivers. You know, it's pretty thick, so I didn't want to waller it all the way out, so I had to go from one end to the other end, and that receiver hitch is not going to be used for anything other than cylinder stuff. I had to use this one on that yellow contraption, so I had forks on both sides of this. Still, I need to find something that it's like a 1-inch ID or 1-inch OD to fit through here if I've got to do these again. That's long enough. Alright, I'll check the shaft out. Hopefully it's okay. Looks okay. I don't feel anything that's other than, you know, I don't feel any gouges. Some surface stuff, but hopefully it's okay. Alright, well, that's it for the Sunday. Ciao. Alright. Well, I've never rebuilt one of these, so this is going to be the first. But what has to happen, I know, is that nut's got to come off, and I know that they can be on there with some pretty good oomph. So I'm going to try a big breaker bar, 3/4 inch stuff, and see if that helps get it off. But what I am going to first try to attempt to use is the little bar that I kind of drilled out yesterday to put this in, to see if then I can't get on this. But I'm not sure that this bench on this vise is going to hold that. So that means I wonder if I need to put it into the receiver hitch of the gator. Well, let me get some stuff out and check this out first. Let's check it out and see what we come up with here. Let's see if this is going to work. Alright, let's take this up to the bench. I might have to pop this off here. I think. Let's see. Let's check it out and see if that has to come off there. There we go. That's what I suspected. Some rust in this thing. There was some rust up around here too. I cleaned a little bit of it off. Oh, she's a little bit crusty. Okay. Let me stop snooting on you guys here and see what I need to do to clean this up a little bit. Alrighty. So let us take this apart or break it down. I did find another video on YouTube. It's probably more educational than what mine is, and it happened to be this exact solenoid. And one thing I did catch off of it right off the get-go is I didn't realize there's two. I thought this was one big O-ring here, but there's two. A round one, which is there, and then this flat one, which is there. So once I take this down, I'm gonna use a wire wheel to clean all this rust up. You can see that this rust all through here. There's water incursion, and obviously you can see that this seal had seen its better days. Faux show. And I did buy a little kit to do these with. To do these with is to put these seals in. And my wife is out there mowing, which is love that. And I don't have to. I see how that goes in there. Like I said, I'm learning this, so I'm not sure how these things work, but I know that this seal is not going to work ever again. That's faux show. I don't want to corrupt this stuff, which goes on. Put my glovies on here, fluid on the new stuff, and I'm going to have to clean. How do you get these out so effortlessly? And putting them in as well. There we go. Man, this stuff is crusty. think I have another kit. I might need to do that other one if this one is in this bad a shape. This could be bad scene for the other one as well. Quiet without that compressor on. I just turned it on because she's gonna have to air off the grasshopper. Come on, baby. Don't do me like that. Come on. I got you there, sucker. I got you there, sucker. Got you too, sucker. Suckers. I know. Alright. I need to get a wire brush. Alright. I used a brass and stainless wire wheel to clean this up. It's not perfect. There's still some rust in there a little bit on the top side, but this is much better. It's much better. So hopefully it will seal better. What's interesting is the paint on the cylinder and on this cap, if you will. This is where the paint wasn't, and you can see that there's some pitting, and then there's some pitting on the inside as well. So it's almost like somehow that got breached. And it was right where the paint wasn't. Of course, there's no paint on here now, so I cleaned it up, but you can even see some of the pitting on this right in here, but you can certainly see it right in there. Anyway, I got some ATF here, so now I need to put this thing back together. This part and that, and then I gotta do that. Not sure that was the most eloquent way to get that on there. That went on nonetheless, and I don't think I scarred it up. Right on. A little dabble do you, a little dabble do you. I'm not even sure how, as you get older, you remember songs that are even from before your time. I don't know. Maybe it's from watching TCM or Me TV, watching old flicks. I think I just screwed my order up on them. I'll have to look at my picture. Okay. All right. Let me check the order out on these things. Flatty goes on first. Flatty McFatty. He goes on first. Then the O-ring. The flat ring, then the O-ring. Right on. Alright, now this guy goes on the top. So this guy goes in first. So let me see if these little tools work. Try this guy. I think that's how it's supposed to like go in there. I think. Like I said, haven't done this before, so let's just see. Well, it's in there. Don't know if I really needed that tool personally. Maybe need it for this one. So now I know that this one goes down next, and that ringland or valley is supposed to go towards the oil, so that would be facing up the way I have it. I'm not putting a lot on here, but just enough so it keeps it from trying to rip, you know what I mean? Just give it some moisture, but not a hair. You got to understand, I'm learning everything as I go along here. So right now I'm just kind of playing with this tool, trying to figure it out. And it wound up helping me on the cylinders to follow, but it
I wonder if I should use a bigger one.
certainly a learning
That
experience.
seems like
So
it's
it was all fun.
stretching it too much. Let's see. Let's see if this one is more. Let's see if this one is more. I don't think it'll be that difficult. Come on, man. Seems like it's smarter than the outside is helpful. This one is better. Man, this is going to be a freaking change. Huh. Yeah, let's see if I Well, it's in there. Wasn't the most eloquent process. In, like Flynn. I didn't put any transmission fluid on those ones to see maybe if it helped being a little drier. All right, let's get back at this thing here.
Two things, and you'll see it in some of the other videos about the Genie and these oscillators and the valves or the cylinders that I've rebuilt. One is those
seal ring spacers, those blue spacers that go on both sides of the seal. They have a taper on one side on the inner diameter. And long story short, wasn't able to find anything about it, but I determined that those seals are those bevels face inwards towards the seal and the black rubber seal that sits around this piston. So that's one. Two, you'll see I saw on YouTube a couple of techniques to put this blue seal on, and I actually use that technique on the cylinders, rebuilding the cylinders moving forward. It's a pretty makes it a much simpler job. But anyway, a couple of things that I have note of in my other cylinder rebuild videos for this Genie.
There, better. Okay. So now, yeah, that was a tough one. I bet you there's some secret to that guy, but I'm not sure what that secret might be. Oh, no. Don't tell me. Yep. That frickin' one busted. Son of a bitch. Hey. Well, I got another shot at it here. I don't know why that one had such a big gap on it. That's that. All right. I'll tighten that up to Molly. Right now, I gotta shut it down, and I'll put this back together in the cylinder tomorrow. Until then, adios. I'm gonna do a kind of an update, revamping between what I've learned between doing this guy, which was the first one I did, and doing this one, which I have not done yet. And this is the these are the oscillator cylinders from my Genie. It's an S40 Genie, that I got in an auction to use around the property here. But what I have learned, and when I upload this, I'll have these learnings in it. One was when I replaced the piston seals, if you will, and spacers. Underneath there's a black rubber seal, and that these kind of sit up on top. And when I put the two like spacing seals, ring gaps on, the OE are the ones that came off this cylinder, and I'm going to assume that these were OE because it didn't look like this cylinder had been ever cracked into. The paint around the barrel and the nut was still all in place, and so it just didn't seem like it had been fiddled with before. But also what I wasn't paying attention to, and I'm sure some of you caught this, and I didn't realize it, is on these ring gap spacers, if you will, you can see there's a beveled edge as compared to a non-beveled edge. And I didn't pay attention, or didn't know that was the case. So when I put the new ones on, I just kind of put them on, not paying attention to that. So, being that I had another one I needed to do, but I did catch it, and I noticed it. I did understand what to do now. I did look at that one, which I haven't touched yet, and but I did look at how these are seated. And so how I saw from this piston is that the non-beveled side, if you will, the flat side, non-beveled, faces inward for both of them. So the beveled edge is facing outward, if you will. Duh. But I didn't notice that on the first time around. So I got that situated. And then this is the actual piston seal. As if you noticed when I put it on, I was like, wow, man, this thing's a bear to put on. And I got it on there. And as you can see, it's on here and it's fine. But I did see that there's probably a better way to do that. Two ways I saw. One is to heat it first. Give it some heat, like an oil, a warmed up oil, or something to warm it up a little bit, but not too much, because they are heat rated, and what I understand, it's like 220, maybe 230 degrees, somewhere in there. But you can heat them up and put them on. But the other way I also saw, which I may try on this one, is to put a thin piece of cloth or even plastic bag, and use that to kind of let it slide over, to use the whatever that is, the cloth or plastic bag, and slide it on that way. And I'll do it on this one. And if you watch these online, you've seen it. Again, this is not instructional. It's just me stumbling my way through this, and 2 or 3 people in the world may find humor or sadness in it. But anyway, I'm gonna do this one here. I already reset these spacers. I am gonna realign the gaps on these so they're not right next to one another. Put them 180 degrees off. That stuff I kind of know from engines, right? From doing the engines that I've done with regards to ring gapping and the rings and the oil seal rings and combustion rings and all that good stuff. But anyway, that's the situation. And as you can see, here's the difference. That is how that one looked. And so I'm gonna have to clean that. I already got the nut busted loose. This is all the old stuff. I haven't done anything with replacing that on there. This one has been cleaned up, and it's got the new seals and spacers and those things on it. But I think it's coming along. So my goal is to have that one done. Shouldn't take too long. I do have to clean this all up and whatnot, but can do that and get them installed. At least get one installed this evening, late this afternoon. So we'll get back at it. All right. The first challenge with this other cylinder was that piston came off, fairly easy. I used the red, not rubber, but rubber mallet. Didn't budge it. Used this as a slide hammer on it, which I wasn't thrilled about doing that, but and bang, kind of in motion down on the table here, and that got it quite a ways. But man, that thing was not gonna come off of there. This piston, I had to use gently, was this puller. Fortunately, that it didn't take much for that to get it off, but I can see it's almost like one thread on the bottom of this piston, and it's got a pretty good ridge on it. I didn't do that. I mean, I'm just trying to get it off of there. So that's kind of disturbing. I hope that doesn't cause me a problem. I'm sure it's gonna. So I'm sure I'm gonna have to do something to deal with that. It is at the edge of it up here, so I'm kind of hoping maybe that it'll be up in here, because this sits down. So it should be maybe up in the nut area and thread nut area, not where the seal is what I'm kind of hoping for. But I don't think that's a good thing. And I'm not sure what I can use to file that down without causing more damage. I'll give it a thought here. That was my little adapter on the puller that I sat right down onto the top of that. I had it, some grease on there and some grease in here, so it stayed on there. It was pretty square. It didn't come off, and it didn't take really a lot of pressure for that to pull it up, the remaining part of it up, because I was you saw I was probably about right to there. So anyway, that's what I did to keep that on the shaft, because most that the end of this threaded rod on these pullers is not flat by all means. All right, as you can see, almost turned it into graphite. I got that lip off of there, and there's just barely a visible little line around there, but there's nothing to the fingernail now. Slightly there is. I won't say there's nothing, but it's nothing like what it was. What I did is I used some 200, 400, and 1000 wet dry sandpaper. The 220 knocked it down. Fortunately, I think it was almost like a spiral thread that it came off easier than it kind of came back around easier than I thought it was going to be. And I did run the nut down on this a ways, and that all seems good. The nut and the threads on the shaft. So I think that's 1,000% better than what it was. It's not perfect, but it's certainly better than what it was. So I'm taking that as a victory. Let me straighten my stuff up here and bring you back. All right. And this thing is a lot of rust. This machine is old, so it's like a 2005. It's got a number of hours on it, but not, crazy. It's got like 5,000 hours on it. I guess these things are sitting outside for most of their lives. You can expect, stuff like this to be, I guess. All right, well, you know what I better do before I crack into this thing is make sure that I do have another oscillator kit. So this is for the rotator. This isn't the oscillator. I think this is the oscillator. I marked that one the oscillator, so that's master, rotator. Oh, this is extra. This is the because I replaced one of the steering cylinders. That's what that's for. So this is the oscillator for my Genie kit, and its part number, according to my parts manual for this unit, or tagged for the serial number of this unit, is 59050GT. That's the Genie number. And this was the one kit that I broke into, that I opened up. It has oscillator on it. I guess the maxi quote number is 700-44085. If you kind of knew what you're doing, or you did this with there it is, GN 59050GT. That's the oscillator. These kits aren't cheap. I mean, I paid, like, basically, let's just say roughly, give or take, for each kit $100 plus. If you knew what you were doing, or you did this frequently, you could probably source these things individually. You'd know what you're doing. But I guess I won't say for us idiots. For this idiot, it's just easier for me to go to I got the parts manual for my unit, and order them. But I did find, I am finding out that JLG, that even though this is a Genie lift part number for this stuff, sometimes this stuff crosses over to other folks. So I hopped around online, and I think I got all the kits from 2 or 3 different sources. Just depends on which ones I got the best deal on, delivered, taking freight, shipping into consideration. But what I wanted was, I wanted good quality stuff, and I think I got that. Anyway, so I do have another kit. I think I ordered it by mistake. I got 2, but I thought maybe, I was thinking, well, if I replace one, I might as well think about replacing 2, because if one's bad, the other one's probably not far behind it, or, you know, to that extent. Don't want to go through all of this just to have the other side go and then have to get everything out in order and have it leaking, because I need to use this thing. I'm going to use the lift to paint the roofs of the barns. I got 2 of my barns that I need to paint the roofs on. They're steel. I'll show you one. You can see it starting to rust over there between the cantilever eave area and the vertical. You can see it kind of rusting. And this one, I'm in the barn here too. This used to be like for pigs and stuff. It's my shop, and I got a couple apartments above now. But this one's worse than that, so I need this lift. And then of course I got all the trees in the back, which I've been doing land clearing. And this has been handy for that. So I was also looking at this to see if I learned, paid attention to the details on these things and how they come off, and because I saw in some video that these things can be concave on one side so that O-ring sits down in them, but I haven't noticed that on these ones. But I did go back to look with that one, but I could see that was not the case. I think for this one I used like come on Wilbur. This thing just slipping around on my finger here. Quit slipping around, dude. You guys can see what's yapping. You guys, I should just say, I hope you guys would infer it's plural. I don't think I got plural people watching any of my stuff, which I guess it's not kind of my point. Well, that just bent the shit out of that. I do have better hooks and picks. Don't like using screwdrivers, but I will if I have to. Got that other one off fairly easy. Guess as they say, there's got to be one in the barrel. What I'm gonna do. This dude's smaller. this with you much longer, dude. Son of a beehive. I think this one had been done. At some point in the relative recent past, meaning somewhere in the past 10 years. Interesting. I have to get the wheel out for that. Clean that off a little bit. Whisper. Why can't we not be sober, and why want to start things over? I can't forever just want to. So now this one, do something here. Just for prosperity purposes. So bevels out, flat in. Okay, I'm not sure what I said before. Bevels out, flat in. And I think that's how I have this. Yes, flat in, bevel out. Okay. Not sure what to use this. All right, I'll be back in a flash. There's what I used to clean it up with. A little bit different looking now, isn't it? Tidier. All right. All right. I should break off a chunk of this blade. but probably won't until I cuss at it enough. Then I will. When I'm trying to do something and I'm rushing or stressed or whatever, it won't cut properly, and then I'll be cussing and wanting to throw it away. You know, all that fun stuff. That's how it usually goes with me. Oldie, new. Alright. So let's do this. And I think grease to install them. If that makes any sense to anybody, it does to me, kind of. I better do something here. Voila, Viola. Okay. This is where I think if you do this a lot, you'd probably be at it a whole. You'd be substantially more efficient at it than I am. All right. I did learn I need to use this. On that first one. I do need to use it. Using it efficiently is a different issue. Let's take a looky-loo. That's correct. So the hard ring is on the top, the little ring seal. The seal is after that. So that's then this. Okay. So let's do this. Let's do this. Now, so I'm sure everybody has seen that goes towards the fluid side or the pressure side of things. I'm not telling anybody anything they don't know. So in this case, it's facing down, right? It would be like this in here, or like this. But these things, as I learned, even the small stuff is tricky. And somebody was saying, yeah, that's a two-handed job to get these things twisted in there properly. And you know what? I have a tendency to agree with them on that. Oops, wrong way. Because even the small seal, it can be a little bit flippy doolittle, if you know what I mean. There, that was done much easier than the last time I did this. Obviously, like I said, if you do this more than once in a life, well, I say that, I had it. Dang it. I don't know if I should go the other way with it. I have to flip it. There we go. That got it. That got it. Okay, I think that's actually pretty good. Come on, come on, come on. Little dabble do, little dabble do. Of course, everybody knows that this is the wiper, the swiper, the diaper doolittle. I saw that there we go. That Harley, they've been doing quite well with their new bike in flat track. They've won the first couple of races of flat 2025 flat track season, which is awesome because KTM and Honda and Yamaha, it's like that used to be a series primarily dominated by Harley, and then just as the other brands jumped in, and it just, I don't know, just really turned the dynamics of that sport around. But glad to see Harley's back in the winning circle. And there's Indian, Harley, I think there's a couple, maybe other brands off in there, but they're heavy bikes. But man, these guys just crank on those things. Seriously. And Indian last year, was it Troy Herfoss, came over and was racing in the series. He came over from Australia, and his first year he won the championship. Go figure. But he's struggling a little bit the first few races this year, and Harley is back at it. Alrighty, so now for this feller, I used to have a Buell. But through the course of my life, my body's been abused. I've had a pretty pretty gnarly motorcycle accidents, some boxing injuries, some injuries, horses and bulls, that type of stuff, getting rolled over on and stomped on. So my body has been kind of used and abused over the course of years. It does start to, you may think you're invincible, young whippersnappers. It catches up with you, trust me. You don't think you get old, you think you're invincible. You're not invincible, and you will get old. Oh shit, that's what was beeping with this thing that turned off. Alright, well, I don't know where it cut off. I'll find out. I got the black ring in. I got that bottom retaining gap ring in. I'm going to do this thing now. And to do this, I'm going to try to do a method that I learned. So let me find what I need to try it out. Hold on. Piece of plastic or cloth, and you put it in there, and look at that. And that was 1000% easier than what it was without using anything. That did work. So hey, somebody knew what the hell they were talking about. They also saw that you can use cloth, but that's just grease. I greased it up pretty good. You can use cloth or something that's just thin and has a little bit of strength to it, but that little plastic worked out just swimmingly. So that is a score. So then, again, the bevel edge out and in like Flynn. There we go. So that's that. So now I gotta think on this thing for a second. If I want to run some 1000 grit around that. Let me think on this for a second. All right. I took some 600, 1000, and then 2500 wet dry sandpaper to this. And what I can say is that, yeah, there's dings in this. But I think I can feel them, but it's not the ridges I feel, it's the depressions. So I did make sure there's no ridges, but that's still, I can't take that down. That ain't gonna happen. So it'll be what it is. All right, down to the last throws here. Try not to gouge it across these threads either. There we go. Okay. This might be a bitch again. It was a bitch getting it off, and I'm thinking it's going to be a bitch getting it on. Give me a moment here, dudes. I think I'm going to have to fuss with this a little bit. 1000% better. So I feel happy that some of that fine sanding I did on the stem, where that goes, paid off, because a few taps of this, it slid down. A couple more taps, it went on down. So it's like I couldn't spin this before. It was almost like seized down there. So I'm gonna run these nuts down, clean out the insides of the cylinders, wipe them out, and I can put these together. Won't get them back on the machine tonight because we're gonna go eat some dinner, and it's already like 8 o'clock where I am, 8 p.m., a little bit after, and do that. So I'm gonna put these nuts on next. All right, not counting the blue stuff I have for thread lock. And I tell you, they've got so many numbers going on. Loctite 603, retaining compound, high strength. Loctite 243, thread locker, medium strength. Loctite thread locker 271, high strength. High strength is 271. High strength 603. Medium strength is 243. Primerless. I don't get any of this really. This got a bunch of Chinese on it. I wonder if I got this in Canada, or I find that strange that there's a bunch of Chinese on here. Huh. That's crazy. I think I put this on the other one. This is like an inch and what was it, an inch and a quarter. Also, what I noticed is watching other people with this is that their nuts weren't locking nuts. This is a you know, lucky nut. Although I think after you use them, put them on and take them off once, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much. It didn't thread on there easy, so I think that's actually some of it. The nylock. Get back to the show. Okay, that is swell. Like, that is way more than I would typically use, but like I said, man, I saw some people just like inundate it with the thread locker. So I guess I'm splitting the difference. I'm living bejeebers out of those forces. Alrighty then. So this doesn't look too bad in there, actually. You can see around in there. It's actually pretty good shape. Wipe it out and see what happens here. Seeing if you can see in there. Here. kind of an LED effect going on with it. Anyway, so you can kind of see what's up. Come on. Looks good. That's the point. All right. I have these retaining ring spacers 180 degrees off. I had them 180 degrees off. Where's this other one at now? Where did it go? What the hell? That's there. Where's the top one? Yeah, top one's here. The bottom one's over there. But those aren't seals, so aren't sealing surfaces. So I don't think it makes much of a difference, but one never knows. Anyway, that's what I did. This thing has got compression, that's for sure. I loosened this up, took those caps off. Oh. Dang, that thing's sharp, that's for sure. Alright, so I'm gonna kind of tighten this up and have this one together. And I need to change these O-rings out. Like I said, I got a Parker kit. And I loosened that up a little bit to see if that would release it. I don't want to take it all the way out though, because I don't really want to replace the O-rings on that, because I think I have them, but I'm not sure. But I don't want to create a problem where one doesn't exist. So I'm going to tighten that gland nut on there, and we'll go from there. This is that Parker kit that I was telling you about that I got. So I'm going to pull those two guys out and put two new ones in. Old, new, these guys right there. I guess it's like a -10. No, that's a -6, a 3/8. So that's those guys right there. From them two line. One. Uno. Un. Yet. Like that. Cap. Cap. Then I bought this, and it's got different pegs for it, dowels for different sizes. But I wound up having to use a pipe wrench to get off the ones I could, and I had one that couldn't even come off. The shop, Ben's Hydraulics down the road here, couldn't even get it off. That's why I had to buy a new one, cylinder for the steering. So I might you don't need to take those down crazy tight. So I might just take my pipe wrench, one of those over there, and just give it a little snug, and then that will be it for that one.